Captain Mike's Rigging Station. Powered by Florida Sport Fishing TV.
What's up, guys? I'm Captain Mike, and welcome to my rigging station. Right here, this is where it all happens. In preparation of every episode of Florida Sport Fishing TV, we spend a tremendous amount of time getting ready because I'll tell you what, proper preparation is vital regardless if you're targeting snapper or swordfish. Really awesome topic to talk to you about here today. A lot of information that I want to share with you on jig fishing. Really long-range Gulf of Mexico, to be really specific. This is a emerging destination, areas like Pulley Ridge and Rankin Ridge and Howell Hook that are 100+ miles off the beach, deep in the Gulf of Mexico, that over the last, we'll say, 7 to 10 years have really emerged as angling meccas. Queen snappers, mutton snappers, red snappers, ham bone snappers, red groupers, black groupers, gag groupers, Warsaw groupers, blue line tilefish, golden tilefish, barrelfish, wahoo, kingfish, dolphin, yellowfin tuna. Heck, I've even seen blue marlin caught out there. It's absolutely awesome. In the beginning, it was all about bait. Guys used to go out there and they used to fish this rich area where the water ranges in depth from 220 feet up on the bank, and then it'll fall. It'll come off that edge and it'll fall to 300, 400, 500, 800, 1,000 feet and beyond. So a lot of different opportunity out there, but I'll tell you what, in the beginning, it was all about bait. Guys used to go out there and deep drop fish and, man, just load the boat. Fish up on the bank, you know, one bait at a time, and again, very successful. But perhaps there's no more exciting way, no more productive way to fish out there than jig fishing. And that's something that I'm really passionate about. But there's a lot of information about jig fishing and a lot of questions that are still unanswered. And I want to talk to you about my outlook on jig fishing, why I do what I do, the decisions that I'm making, and I know it's going to help you become a more successful jig fisherman. Understand we're going to be fishing a variety of different depths, right? It could be 220, 230 on the shallower side. It could be 600 to 800 feet on the deeper side. So I need to be well equipped for those different scenarios. And truthfully, I do most of that with one rod and reel, okay? One rod and reel allows me to cover all of those bases. Through a lot of trial and error over the years, I developed our own series of slow pitch jigging rods. Look, there's a lot of variations out there. There's a lot of options out there. There's a lot of brands out there. If something's working for you, great, do it, stick with it. My preference, this is built by Chaos. It's a custom slow pitch jig rod that I designed, 6'3" in length, Toray carbon fiber blank, incredibly strong, incredibly light, but incredibly sensitive. I can put tremendous amount of pressure on big fish in deep water with this particular outfit. Yet it is so light and comfortable that even a 2-pound fish is a heck of a lot of fun to catch. The rod itself has some key features. It's spiral wrap, meaning the guides start on top and end on the bottom. Numerous benefits for that. Prevents the rod from twisting, prevents the line from tangling up on the tip when you're jigging. A lot of different benefits. Rod is matched to what is perhaps the finest jigging reel ever created. This is the Shimano Oshia Jigger 2000. Plenty of line capacity, ultra fast gear ratio, so I'm gaining a lot of line. Tremendous amount of torque, which is really important because I'm coming up and down a lot. We're going to be fishing for 4 days. So think about how many times you're jigging and how many miles of line. That extra torque is really, really important. Ultra smooth star drag, my preference. Some guys like the lever drag. Some guys like the star drags. When it comes to jig fishing, I like the star drag. Easy to adjust. You're not going to mess it up. Key feature to this Oshia jigger, key feature that perhaps really sets it apart from all other reels. Once I deploy my jig, okay, I don't have to manually click the reel back in play. All I have to do is just turn that handle. Makes it much easier when I hit the bottom, but even more important, if a fish picks up the jig on the fall and suddenly I go slack, all I've got to do is just turn that handle and boom, I've taken up all of the slack and I'm tight to that fish. So really nice tool. The reel itself, loaded with, oh gosh, at least 600 to 700 yards of diamond 30-pound test braided yard line. Let me explain what this is here and what the benefits are. Yard line comes in different colors, but unlike years past where they introduced braid in different color segments, there were like 5 or 7 different colors. Every 20 feet was a different color. Very confusing. Diamond has taken it to the next level. 2 colors. Every 50 feet is an alternating color. Makes it very easy to work with and a lot of benefits. I can gauge the depth of the water. I can, literally gauge exactly where my jig is in the water column. A lot of benefits. It's not a tool that I use all of the time, but when I need to know, it's a real game changer. Hey guys, I'm Captain Mike and welcome to my rigging station. You've asked over and over, here's the answer. Two-bro fishing. 4 different styles of rod and reel holder mounts for every application. Their ingenious lure and leader keeper system is perfect, either permanently mounted or portable. It keeps everything I need right at my fingertips so I can focus on staying hooked up. Listen, I count on Dubro products, so should you. Check out their full line of innovative gear at dubrofishing.com.
For over 80 years, Furuno Innovations have helped more fishermen find and catch more fish than any other brand. And we're raising the bar again with Navnet TZ Touch 3's new PBG and Fish It Drifted technologies. Build your own 3-dimensional shaded relief charts to find trophy fish others have missed. Perform accurate drifts the first time, every time. Be the one everyone follows. When you're serious about fishing, lead the way and get serious with Furuno.
Chaos. Gear matters.
Yeah. Oh my God! Springtime tournament fishing.
We got another one. Doubled up.
Mutton.
Woo!
Nice! That right there, baby, is deep dropping.
Chaos. Gear matters. Shop online or visit our new superstore for everything fishing.
Deep Glow outshines the competition. With a robust housing, durable glass dome, and stainless steel hardware, Deep Glow lights are the toughest, brightest, and easiest to install. Throw them in, plug them in, and let the show begin. I've literally created my own feeding frenzy. Residential or commercial 1 or 50 lights, Deep Glow increases property values, creates loyal customers to waterfront businesses, and provides years of trouble-free service. Tell them Captain Mike sent you and receive a free timer. From there, the braid itself goes not to the jig, but to a top shot. I'm always adding a top shot of fluorocarbon leader. It's nearly invisible in the water, very abrasion resistant, and in this particular scenario, deep jigging, Gulf of Mexico, wide variety of species, this is my choice. It's 30-pound diamond braid, and it's 40-pound diamond presentation. That's the couple right there that works perfect for me. I connect that braid to the fluorocarbon leader with a very small streamlined Alberto knot. Very small. That knot goes easily in and out of the guides, and when it's tied right, it's bulletproof. There's no additional terminal tackle on that rig whatsoever. That top shot is approximately 25 feet long. After every single fish, I'm feeling that leader. If it's chafed or nicked, I cut a piece off and I retie it. So you've got plenty of extra length in order to do that. Avoid tackle failure, really important. I tie the leader to the jig with a small little improved clinch knot. Nothing fancy, you can do this. These are basic knots. An Alberto knot you can master in minutes, and an improved clinch knot you should already know how to do in your sleep with one arm tied behind your back in the dark. So very, very simple, but very effective. I know these connections are bulletproof. I have an intimate relationship with my jigging outfit, and I know exactly how much pressure I could put on these fish, which is a tremendous amount. Jig fishing, very rewarding to be able to fool these brilliant fish on nothing but a piece of metal. It's very clean. You're not touching bait. I must stress, as I mentioned earlier, a lot of variation. There's some guys that like the longer rods that are more limber. There's some guys that like the shorter rods with a little more backbone, like me, okay? This rod is very parabolic, very springy, okay? So it really moves the jig well, but it's got plenty of strength in this lower section. So I could really put a tremendous amount of heat on even the largest fish from deep water. But yet it's so light and comfortable, I can stand at the rail of a headboat and fish for, 12, 14 hours a day straight without getting fatigued. Now, I don't know, perhaps the biggest, question is what jig do you fish, right? Because there's just so many jigs. I mean, it's absolutely incredible. The different styles and sizes, there's just too many of them to choose. But there's some key factors that are real important that you should be aware of, okay? First is the shape of the jig. Listen, if I'm fishing deep water or a lot of current, I want my jig to get to the bottom as quickly as it possibly can. I'm going to choose something that's long and narrow, something that really is arrow-shaped, that's literally going to fall through the water column like a bullet, right to the bottom, as fast as it'll possibly go. And then once you start jigging and bringing that jig to life on or near the bottom, it'll pitch off to the side, it'll wobble, it'll pitch off to the side and wobble. But again, I want it to get to the bottom as quickly as possible, so I need a long, slender jig. Very important. In shallower water, where there's perhaps maybe not as much current, a smaller jig with a little bit more surface area is a great choice, okay? It's gonna wobble like crazy. It'll get to the bottom quickly enough, and that's really all I need in a couple 100 feet of water. So I can't decide what jig I'm gonna fish until literally I get there, and I evaluate the situation, I evaluate the current, the depth, the target species, and then I'm going to make my adjustment based on the situation that I'm facing, which is really important. If you enjoyed this episode, we talked a lot about tackle, a lot about finding these fish, staying on them. Got it. All right, all right. Nice job.
What a fish.
Oh, yeah, that's a fat one right there. That's what we want. Oh, nice one. Look at that one. Got it. Nice.
That's a tuna.
That's what it's all about, right there. Oh my God! That's what I'm talking about. Don't even lift and pump, just reel. Just reel. All right, come on, come on. Somebody get in there, get in there. Crank, 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 crank. Got him, got him, got him. We got him. You ready? Nice. We got him. Get him in the boat, ready? Oh! Flip it onto your rod. Never jeopardize losing a rod, ever. So you've got the long slender, you've got the short wobbly, you've got some jigs in the middle of that are more, we'll call it sardine shape, okay, right there. Great all around jigs in around the 250 gram kind of size range. Remember that all of the jigs that we're fishing are not rated by ounces, but rather by grams, and understanding they're 28 grams in an ounce, okay? From there is color. Look, I don't know, I gotta be honest with you. How many bait fish have you seen that are that color right there? Okay, how many bait fish have you seen that are that color? You know, not very many. But the jigs work, they work. They work because a fish sees a jig differently than you and I see a jig. Fish see shades. They see movement. They see silhouettes. They don't see pink or glow or yellow, okay? It's just different elements in their eyes, different abilities. So I like to say it's always a good idea to have some darker shades, some lighter shades. Certainly I'll see some days where something like a gold or a red will outproduce, you know, a glow or a, you know, silvery colored jig. So it's always a good idea to have a variety, okay? It's also a good idea to have a variety of different shapes. Some guys like to try and match the hatch if they believe, you know, the groupers are feeding on speedos or a larger bait fish. Something that's, you know, larger with a larger profile like that might work well. Again, keep an open mind. But most importantly is movement. You've got to bring that jig to life. I can't stress it enough. You can't just drop that jig to the bottom and think it's going to produce. Now, when it comes to movement, there's so many different ways, so many different rhythms. You know, purists believe that slow pitch jigging requires a certain motion. They often put the butt section of the rod under their forearm and do long sweeps and let that jig flutter on the fall and pitch off to the side without a lot of real movement. On the other hand, there are scenarios where if there's blackfin tunas and king mackerel and pelagic fish in the water column, I'm going to drop the jig to the bottom, but I'm going to use a lot more real movement as I'm jigging, okay, to retrieve line and keep that jig moving through the water column, okay, and higher up off the bottom. So again, so many different scenarios. The key is finding a rhythm that works for you. But don't be afraid to put some variation in there. Don't be afraid to mix it up. Different motions, different rhythms, different jigging techniques. There's no right or wrong here. It's fishing. And no matter what you do, as long as you have an enjoyable time and you're catching fish, that's all that matters. And I'll tell you what, you'll see if you ask 100 different jig fishermen what the right motion, what the right jigging technique is, you're going to get 100 different answers. I promise you that. Everybody has their own. So don't think what you're doing is right or wrong. You just need to make it your own. And there's no substitute for time spent on the water. You can't learn to be a good jig fisherman sitting on your couch. You got to get out there. You have to make the sacrifices and say, hey, I'm not going to fish bait. I'm going to fish a jig, and I'm going to get really good at this. Some of the other things to remember, all of our jigs, this is how they're rigged. Pay close attention. There's an assist hook on the bottom of the jig that's connected with a split ring. And then the same scenario on the top of the jig, another assist hook connected with a split ring. And then there's also the addition of a very small welded ring on that same split ring. That's where we tie the line to. That's where we tie our leader to. Some guys will add a barrel swivel right at that point to prevent twist in the braid and maybe give the jig a little bit more action. I've never done that. I don't see a benefit to that. If it's something that's working for you, stick with it, but don't think that it's absolutely essential, because it isn't. Fresh bait is vital in today's highly pressured fisheries, and no one makes it easier to catch live bait than the Ballyhoop. With a complete line of collapsible hoop nets and accessories, the Ballyhoop is a must-have for every angler. Simply deploy the Ballyhoop and watch the magic. With the Ballyhoop, catching live bait is clean, fast, and simple. Ask for the Ballyhoop at your local tackle shop or visit us online to find a dealer near you.
Dependable terminal tackle. It's vital in every venue. That's why professional anglers targeting bonefish to blue marlin rely on Diamond Fishing products. With an extensive selection of the finest monofilament, fluorocarbon, and braided fishing line in the world, it's time you avoid the rest and rig with the best. Diamond Fishing Products, the official line of Florida Sport Fishing TV, tournament-winning fishing teams, and busy charter captains from coast to coast.
Hooks. I'll tell you what, could be just as important as the jigs themselves. A lot of jigs nowadays come rigged and ready to fish, like from Jigs R Us. These are all of the jigs that I'm fishing nowadays, and they all come rigged and ready with good quality hooks. It's a perfect scenario if you don't have the accessories. However, if you're fanatical about hooks, kind of like I am, I switch them up a lot, and I'll tell you what, these VMC tandem jigging hooks, they're just unbeatable, okay? They never break, they never bend. I've never had a failure with one of these hooks. So I like to switch out my hooks, especially, you know, here's a 7/0 size on the bigger jigs right there. Again, just an awesome twin assist hook, a tandem assist hook. But very, very strong, very sharp, and like I said, they never fail. You can see that these hooks are bare. They don't have any hair, they don't have any tinsel like some of the other hooks. To me, it's about the jig itself. It's not about the hook. I'm bringing that jig to life, and maybe a little bit of pizzazz on the hook might give it a little bit of extra something, but I've had tremendous success fishing with nothing on the hook, so you know, I guess it's a matter of choice, and both of them are great options. You know, we talked, like I said, about color. We talked about the different designs, the different shapes. The rod that I'm fishing, this combination, very rare that I'll use anything other than this, but there are occasions, and let me share what one of those occasions might be. We're heading out deep into the Gulf of Mexico. We're going to be fishing a variety of different depths and a variety of different scenarios for a variety of different species. I've got to be ready for everything. There are certainly situations where we do some really ultra deep jigging from 700 feet to 1,000 feet of water. In that particular case, I'm generally fishing a heavier jig, something up to 500 grams. Here's a 500-gram mobster, one of my favorite deep water tile fishing grouper jigs right here. But it's heavy, it's 500 grams. It's too heavy of a jig for this light outfit. The rod just doesn't have enough power to move that jig. So I've got to go to something with more beef, okay? I go with something that's definitely heavier. It's matched to a Shimano Oshia Jigger 4000, the next size up. Now let me tell you something. That is the workhorse of all workhorses when it comes to deep water jigging reels. Large T-handle, tremendous torque. I mean, you can haul in anything from any depth with this tow truck right here. It's like a winch, it's amazing. Super smooth, that same ultra smooth star drag system. Incredible line capacity, and in this scenario, deep water, I'm actually going from 30-pound test down to 20-pound test. I'm lightening the line. I'm going thinner because I'm fishing so much deeper that I want to reduce the signature of my braid against that water column so I don't have as much resistance, okay? This way I can move my jig more effectively, I can have and maintain more of a vertical presentation, and I can be a more effective jig fisherman. Don't be afraid of that number 20. Don't think that 20-pound braid is not strong, because this 20-pound diamond braid is incredibly strong. The only difference is I bump up my top shot. Instead of the 30-40 combination that we talked about, we make a slight adjustment. We go 20-50. Okay, 20-pound braid, 50-pound top shot, to the heavier jigs in the deeper water where larger fish could be a possibility, like a giant Warsaw or something to that nature. Great outfit. I don't use it all of the time. I consider it a specialized tool just for that ultra deep water scenario, okay? And really between these two rods, that's it. That's all that I need to cover all of the bases. There used to be a day when I had fished Pulley Ridge, Rankin Ridge, Howell Hook, these rich waters, 100+ miles off the coast, and I used to bring a truckload of gear. I would have a, deep drop outfit with batteries and, plugging in and fishing multiple hook rigs on a deep drop outfit. And then I would have, your standard grouper, mutton snapper rod and fish a single bait at a time, and then also have a jigging rod. It just became too cumbersome and too many decisions. Now I keep it simple. I keep it straightforward, I keep it efficient, but I'm more successful than I've ever been before because I'm really, really zeroed in on my tackle. I'm really zeroed in on the different fish that we're targeting, on the area that we're fishing. I know when we're up there in that 220-foot range, I'm dealing with plate coral on the bottom, which is a really unique kind of coral. It's like brittle concrete with kelp growing, what looks like kelp, some sort of algae or grass growing amongst it. Really cool bottom topography, very, very unique. On the other hand, when we go over the ledge into the deep water, I know that I'm dealing with completely different types of bottom. I'm dealing with ledges and rocks and mud, and I might go to a one-hook rig actually instead of a tandem assist hook on each side. There may only be one hook on each side, which prevents the jig from fouling in the fish. A lot of different benefits there as well. But at the end of the day, I'll tell you what, for me personally, when it comes to challenges and when it comes to rewards, nothing is as exciting as jig fishing deep out in the Gulf of Mexico, because the variety of species, the quality of the fish, the different fish that you catch, and the way that you're catching them by bringing that jig to life in your hands is just so rewarding to me. And I can't stress enough how comfortable it is. There used to be a day when, originally when I saw such a lightweight outfit, I would think to myself, there's no way you can beat up a big fish with that. And now, after years of experience, there's no fish in the ocean that can survive my wrath.
Connect with the crew on Instagram at Florida Sport Fishing TV. Catch our extreme seminar series at www.fsftv.com and get hooked up.